I like that our tier list goes as high as good.
Hello. Welcome to a Daydream Cast special. I am Murph, and I am joined by of the Stacks and Spoiling Things
Mm,
fame, Steven.
I am Stephen.
And we're gonna rank some Assassin's Creeds. So before I was
Not
ever on the
some
Daydream
Assassin's
Cast,
Creeds. Not some. All of
all
the
of them.
Assassin's Creeds.
I mean, I don't have like the comics or the movies or what have you, but
No,
the
this is a this is
games.
a this is a video game podcast. We rank video games.
Yes, I don't have the DS games either.
Good. They're not
Or
games.
the phone games. But
They're video games.
before I was on the Daydream Cast, I was doing one of my grand playthroughs of a franchise, and at the time it was Assassin's Creed.
Hmm.
I was always fundamentally curious about the series because I never had a PS3, Xbox 360, so that entire like all those games I
Okay.
missed out on. I didn't even know of like the whole framing device of Assassin's Creed
Oh, nice.
until Syndicate was coming out. And I was listening to someone talk about it on a podcast, and I was like, wait, hold on. There's like a weird ancient
Yeah.
aliens, like modern day. It's a simulation? All the games are simulations? I did not know that.
Yeah, which is going to make my perspective very, very different because I have been playing since Assassin's Creed 1
Hmm.
and have been experienced in the series. I didn't play Assassin's Creed 1 as it came out. I played it a couple of years after it came out, before 2 came out, and then I've experienced each that I have played at point of release. Apart from Odyssey a bit later, I fell off after Origins, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, so you may notice this is a very different looking kind of tier list.
I'm
Main,
against this tier list. I love Assassin's Creed. The best Assassin's Creed games are incredible.
yeah, I like the issue is I was trying to think about like I was doing the standard like D tier to S tier thing, and I was like a lot of these I'm like very give or take on. There's like some that do
Yeah.
things I really like, and then they do things I really don't like. So a lot of them were like most, if not all of them, were winding up in like C B tier.
I feel we need one tier above because I feel there are some that are just a bit better. There's like a couple that I'd want to have above good, but aren't flawed.
Let me see. I can add. Oh, I need to edit. Oh dear. Oh, what have I done? It's been so long. I don't remember
Add
how
extra.
this.
Add.
Can I add a? Can I change this to?
Oh, could you just like copy and paste them all down? So if you move sadness down to D, and then
No, I can't click and drag. This is a very professional program.
okay, well, we'll just type out sadness there, I guess.
Well, if I can I change this to excellent, and then
And we're putting it at the bottom.
then I think if I click
No, but
submit
then you
here,
can. Okay,
and then I can
then
click
you
and
can
drag,
drag.
and it's moved Chronicles in there. No, you go back there, and then no, it didn't.
Where
It
is
didn't
it?
keep it. What the hell?
Oh no, no.
What the hell, Bobby?
It all returns to nothing. It all comes tumbling down, tumbling down, tumbling down. It all returns to nothing. I just keep letting me down, letting me.
Okay.
All right.
Hello, this is a professional program.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we'll start with where it all began: Assassin's Creed 1.
Okay.
Um,
I love Assassin's Creed 1.
mm-hmm,
But and it was playing it at the time. Though actually, I did play it really near the time because I played at my cousin's house, and I remember us being jointly amazed at how the clouds. You can see the shadow of the clouds on like the floor, and
mm-hmm.
like the different like AI simulations, the different like districts. I like how much of a sense of place it created. I felt it makes me interact with my location in a way the rest of the games do not because they become more kind of like fun fairs. Um,
Yeah.
but it is very rote and repetitive. The story is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I Assassin's Creed 1 I respect. It's such a different
mm,
type of game than what was coming out at the time and type of game we get even now. It's very close to like wanting to
yes.
be something like a Deus Ex, like original Deus Ex immersive sim. Um
Yeah, it's got bits of that, especially like the whole like high profile, low profile actions that they kind of like
yeah.
slowly phased out.
And the the premise is very high concept. It's all
Mm,
and even if you look at like the original like developer intent, they wanted to do a game with no UI whatsoever.
yeah.
Like the whole
There are
thing
bits
about
that haven't been UI,
climbing,
and they're very irritating.
yeah, the whole thing about climbing to like a high viewpoint to like unlock your map. That was originally supposed to be just like the player has to climb up high to look at the area and like try and
Yeah.
see for themselves where they're supposed to go. But that didn't test well.
No. Have to wait for Breath of the Wild for that.
Yeah. Now the issue is I find this game incredibly frustrating. Um, in fact, I almost didn't play the rest of the games because of how mad this game made me. It, I don't think it holds up even remotely in the gameplay department. um, I think because the whole thing with parkour in Assassin's Creed in the original is you want to go on the rooftops because down on the ground level you're like bumping into people and tripping on stuff, you know.
Yes.
And also it helps you to like escape guards. The issue is that they made all the guards also like assassins level ninjas that can chase you
No,
just
no,
forever.
no, no, no. You just go into things and hide, and they're done. Well,
I
that was
do
the thing
that,
with
and then
Assassin's
they
Creed
find
2.
me. Like I don't
No,
remember. I tried hiding in like the group of priests, and it didn't work.
Well, just get good, basically.
I...
Should we agree that it's flawed? Should we agree that it's flawed?
Oh, I was gonna plonk it in sadness.
Oh no, I want to put it in good. Like,
I just like, and also like Altair, I don't really like as a protagonist.
Altair is cool. I mean, you could replace him with a tree, but it'd be a pretty
He
cool tree.
he emotes like a block of wood, man.
Mm, mm.
I just
It's flawed. It's flawed.
is it flawed?
It is flawed. It is a flawed game. It is a very ambitious, very interesting, blew my mind at the time, and has been built upon, but still retains the DNA of what the series was pre Origins.
As you are my guest, I will put it in the flawed tier. But boy, I shouted things at that video game that I have never shouted at video games before.
You know, I'm Zen and assassin like, and I just get in the groove and just stabby, stabby, stabby.
I mean, yeah. Well, once you figure out the counter with the hidden blade is an instant kill,
Mm-hmm.
that just makes combat incredibly trivial.
Yeah, good game, good game.
Assassin's Creed 2. Well, now I'm gonna look silly because I want to rank it above Assassin's Creed, but I was gonna put it in the meh to okay tier, and that's just the meh tier is like games I don't have any real strong emotions about. What you gotta understand is I don't really care about the Renaissance as like a time period,
I
but
have to understand that. I will not understand that.
they do go to Venice, which is like one of my favorite like real life fantasy city locations. Ezio is a real fun character, and
Yes.
I really like that you see him like come of age in this.
Hmm. You see his birth. You literally see his birth.
Yeah,
play
and you
as
gotta
his
you gotta
legs.
press buttons to kick his legs.
Mm.
And he has his uncle. It's a me Mario.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it still has a bit of a holdover of some of the jank from the original game. Um, Especially when it comes to the modern day stuff. I didn't mention this. The original Assassin's Creed like literally ends mid sentence.
Oh, it's a cool ending though.
Is it though?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Is it though?
It is. Again,
You said you played the first Assassin's Creed later. Did you play it still before 2?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
I pre-ordered 2 and then queued up and bought a special version of it because I was that excited because I loved Assassin's Creed 1.
Okay. Like, I just feel like Assassin's Creed 2 is diminished by what immediately comes after, you know? It's like,
The issue we have here is Assassin's Creed 2 is the best game in the series.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
This may be more contentious than I thought.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed 2 is my favorite.
Is it too late for me to bring in someone who knows nothing about the series?
I love Assassin's Creed 2 so much. It was I remember getting it, playing it like all weekend, and just it was exactly what I wanted one to be. I love the story. That opening I think about, and occasionally I watch every now and then the little bit,
It's a good
rooftop.
life. On the
Yeah,
top of the
and
like
they've
yeah, that
changed that.
Ezio's theme is a
When-
very good like
when I
video
went-
game song.
to Florence on honeymoon. We had a wonderful hotel room that was just by the Ponte Vecchio, and you could
Yeah.
see it from there. And I sat on the balcony, I put my headphones in, listened to the Ezio theme, and it's
Did,
like, oh, great.
weren't you saying that you like pointed out to your wife saying that's where
Yeah.
Ezio's family was murdered?
Yeah, yeah. I found a little route of locations to go around to walk around, and then when I got home, I rebought Assassin's Creed 2 on the Xbox, because
Hmm.
I played it on PS3 back in the day. Actually, I played it on PS3, and then played it on 360, and now I've played it on Xbox One slash Series X because on both straddling. And just the recreation of Florence, which is probably my favorite city in the world, is
Hmm.
just utterly exceptional. And like being in that, playing it again and finishing it this weekend,
Hmm.
it is janky and frustrating in ways that it did not feel in 2009.
Yeah.
Um, and actually, I presume you played it with the DLC in it.
The Bonfire of the Vanities, where it interrupts the main plot halfway through to be
Not
like,
only that, it's because it's the Battle of Forlì as well. Those two chapters where it's just which were not in the original game, and I'd
yeah,
never played before. And it's basically been like, let's go to the Vatican.
yeah.
Anyway, let's spend 4 hours doing something else. And they're like discreetly decent DLC to play afterwards, but in the in the game
It
they
literally
do tank it.
injects into the main plot, like right before
Oh
the ending. Like Ezio's
yeah.
on his way, and like what a random guy comes up and knocks him out and takes the apple of Eden.
Yes. Yeah. And then you have to get it back twice.
Yeah. Um, like I said, I just don't have that much strong like memories of the second game. Like I really like exploring Ezio's like little the I
I
was about to say
love
his
the
castle, but
tombs.
yeah. The tombs, yeah, but I think the tombs were done better in Brotherhood.
I don't know about that. I'm playing Brotherhood at the moment. We'll get to Brotherhood. Um, the tombs are. Mm, I don't know if they are. I think they're much more the iconic locations of Assassin's Creed has such better locations. I like the city variety. I love the villa and building up the villa. I love
The
the
villa,
economy.
that was the word I was looking for.
The economy doesn't feel as completely. I mean, it breaks really easily because you get money really easily, but it
Hmm.
feels like you're building up a homestead as opposed to Ezio Landlord Simulator, which is so weird in Brotherhood. Just like I guess I own Rome now for no
Yeah.
real reason. Um,
Um, I just like all the cities blend together for me except for
oh no,
Venice.
they're so distinct. Like Forlì has the is the beautiful towers around the edge, and it's got the kind of like the dirtier water, and it's like that old kind of like medieval town. Florence is just Florence, and it's so beautifully captured. And
See,
then
maybe
Venice
this
is
is
just
the
great to
difference
get to.
between like an American who's never moved out of his side of the country and a European who gets to travel around a lot. I
But I've
just
not been to Florence until last year, but it made me so excited to go there, and it was and then translating memories back into the video game was just like that's a place, that's a place. It's so well realized, and I've now been to Rome on the same holiday, and I
mhm,
don't get that same feeling from Brotherhood because it doesn't feel because the time period it's set in and because Rome is so different.
mhm.
Florence has such a special location because it just is like that still. It is so like paused in time, and I think the story of Assassin's Creed 2 is just the best of the series by far.
There was a
I think,
go ahead, finish your thought.
and I think it's the best example of the anima story playing well with the back in time story. Those intertwine really nice, and it builds to something, and then
Hmm.
revelate. Well, then Brotherhood kind of ruined that, but we'll get to that.
There was a part where you're towards the end and Ezio's like actually being inducted into the Brotherhood, and a guy
Mm.
walks up and says like, "Now you're one of us." And I said, is that Machiavelli?" And then he says,
Yeah,
"I am Machiavelli."
and then you spend most of Brotherhood chilling with Machiavelli. I'm like, why are we chilling with Machiavelli? Um,
I just like I said, I don't really have any argument other than I genuinely don't remember much. And granted, it has been like 2 years since I played these. Um, and for you, it's quite fresh because you were just replaying them.
I've played it 3 times, three and a bit because I played for it almost a couple of times when I first got it. I 100%ed it completely,
Oh,
and
jeez,
then
you
and
got
then when I
all the
played them,
feathers.
yeah, and then I got almost all the feathers on Xbox again, and I was considering getting all the feathers again because I just love being in the world. I feel it's so well realized, it's so immersive, and I love the story at the beginning of how it keeps you without. We'll get to Brotherhood, but without because Brotherhood doesn't do this as well. Of it really immerses you in a place by limiting you, but it keeps you down on the floor and it keeps you immersed in the economy of a place and like growing to learn a place. And I always love that in video games where you come to learn a location. Location matters, as opposed to just like here's a big sprawl of for you to do mechanics in.
Yeah, it's just I just feel like all the later games had places that were more memorable to me. Like genuinely I'm trying to think of a particular mission or something in 2 that stuck out to me, and it's like pretty much just like the start and end stuff. Like there you do Carnival, and
Carnival's great.
there's the
You've
bit
got that
where
chase. The chase is really cool with the cart. The cart is fun.
oh yeah, with Da Vinci, Ezio's secret boyfriend.
Yeah, and then you got the flying machine. The flying machine rules.
Is that in 2, or I thought isn't that also in
Mm.
Brotherhood? Maybe.
Yeah, but in Brotherhood it flies. It has bombs and is worse.
Okay. I just mm, let me dwell on it. Let's for the sake of time, let's move on.
Just know that if I had my way, it would be up and excellent.
Okay.
Just know.
Would it help if I renamed Met to Just Okay? Does that help? Does that help soothe your pain?
No, I love Assassin's Creed 2 so much. It's one of my favorite video games.
Okay, well then I guess this is going to be contentious. Brotherhood, I have the normie opinion. I think this is the best game in the series.
I was so disappointed with Brotherhood when it came out. I was so annoyed.
Really, you are like the first
yeah.
person to ever be like not gung ho about Brotherhood.
I was so irritated by it because it was such a expansion pack just year after, so irritating. They set up Assassin's Creed 3, they set up modern day Assassin's Creed 3. They're like, oh, Ezio was popular. And Brotherhood, when I played for it the first time, was just a far less satisfying story and campaign. The world was much less interesting because it felt such a confined location. It gates you off all of it all the time. I was so annoyed that you go through the thing and you get that bonus climbing technique and you get 2 blades, and then Brother's like, spend the first 10 hours not having that again. You're like, what? Why? And then you just buy it back randomly off Da Vinci. You just find him 3 times in a bench. It's just like, why not build the game in extension to this? Why? And you really feel the lack of that for so much. And I'm playing through it at the moment, and I'm liking it a lot more. But still, there are just parts of the map it just won't let me go to for no reason. But the stuff popular in the map is like, go to all the Borgia holes, and it's like, but you can't go here for no reason. And I know that if I play the story more, I'll just get more stuff, but I want to go do the things, because the thing that's good about Brotherhood is the other stuff, and the campaign's not very interesting. The multiplayer was excellent, though. Multiplayer, very, very good.
I just can't disagree more. I really like Brotherhood. Just felt like, because I finished Assassin's Creed 1, felt very iffy on wanting to go forward more. Assassin's Creed 2, like, immediate upgrade in quality, but still kind of like, eh. And then going to Brotherhood, it's like, oh, I get it now. I get the appeal. Because, this may be something we also disagree on. I like the Assassin's Creed games that are set in one location, one city. Because then they can really flesh that out, and you can get really familiar with the location. Like, when I'm in Rome, I always know where I am in relation to everything else. It's so good about, like, the horizon, the sight lines.
I just never really got that from Brotherhood, I guess, and I'm still not getting it. I do like it a lot more this time because the combat is so much better. Is so fun, and it adds too many mechanics on top of things, and it deals them out weirdly, and you're like, I just want to have the stuff. I know the stuff in here, but a lot of them are really, really cool.
We can talk about
But
mechanic
Ezio
bloat
later.
with some of these later entries.
Yes.
I think just Brotherhood is as, like, it's just enough. It's not too much for me. It's not enough. Like the recruiting, the like retaking of
Yeah,
Rome.
that's cool.
That's all
It is
cool. I like the investments because I like just farming money in video games. It's like, oh, here's passive
It is
income.
so stupid though. It is so stupid. Just walk around and be like, I guess I own this now for no real reason.
He's a lord.
doesn't
Ezio's a lord.
But
He's
it
a
doesn't have
landowner.
that sense of place. It's like, so for example, like I actually bought the paintings and stuff in Assassin's Creed 2 because it felt worthwhile, and I'm like, well, why would I do that? What's the point? I have all these art places, and if I buy more of them, it gets me a discount on art. But it's like, but why would I buy art to begin with? Why would I buy more weapons and ever going back to my actual villa where I feel like it's a community that I've actually invested in? Just walk around Rome being like, I own this. I bought the Pantheon. Why? I don't know. I just I just own the Pantheon now. It means nothing.
Hey, in a
But
few
I own
years
it.
that property's going to be real primo. Look, dude.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But
Um,
that's
I also like the modern day of Brotherhood with Desmond and
mm,
his crew like hiding out in the old
yeah, that is
Auditore
really cool.
villa. Like that feels real, like underground. It's like the issue with the series going forward is the modern day becomes like less important, especially after 3, where they don't really know what they're doing with the
God,
modern day.
we'll
But this is
talk about
like
three.
when they say like, "Oh, the modern day assassins are all but wiped out," I believe it in Brotherhood because they're literally like hooking computers up to generators and being like, "Whose turn is it to go run for like fast food this today?" And you can go out, run around the like whole little city looking for clues and talk to like your crew about the missions you've been doing as Ezio. Like,
It's very hard for me to get out of the mindset of this came a year after Assassin's
mm-hmm.
Creed 2 and was just a refinement and just like and also it came out alongside a whole bunch of other games you could be playing at the time and I was like these games feel much more interesting
Yeah.
than this which is just and because 2 was such a big step forward on 1 like yeah this is a better version of 2 but the story is not appealing. I don't like the location as much and I don't want this slight refinement. It felt cynical. It felt like Ezio was popular, guys, and we were going to make 3 that was going to be the real game, but here's the little like game to get in the way, and you can feel them trying stuff out in this to
Genuinely,
do
I
in later
thought I
games.
thought 3 and Brotherhood like released at the same time when I was only like passively paying attention to like EGM and G4
Yeah,
coverage. Because I was like, oh, this character must have been so popular they made another one about him. I, see, this is what you screwed up my tiers because originally it was gonna look like a nice little progression. You had this down here, this in the meh, and then this in the good. But
I I will let you keep Assassin's Creed Brotherhood an excellent because I'm liking it more this time. If you bump up 2 to good,
you're really twisting my arm here. Uh,
Assassin's
okay,
Creed
well,
Brotherhood is an excellent game, and at the time the multiplayer was the best part about it. That multiplayer was really fantastic.
I did the multiplayer servers were down when I played it,
Yeah,
so
and they don't
okay,
exist in any of the new versions, which is really
okay.
fun.
Is there going to be any contention? Assassin's Creed Revelation in the sadness tier?
I really like Revelation.
God damn it!
I liked it more than Brotherhood at the time. On a story level, on a gameplay level, yeah, it's not very interesting. I put it in just okay. I think the narrative intertwining of Old Man Ezio and Old Man Altair, me as investment in those as characters,
hmm
I found really quite meaningful, and I liked the relationship subplot. I
It,
liked the extra movement stuff. Constantinople's a cool city. The game
hmm
is okay.
I think I think I think it being just okay is kind of my biggest issue with it because if this is like supposed to be the end of the Ezio story, the conclusion of the trilogy, to me all it really has is that ending moment in the library with Ezio, Desmond, and Altair, which is a really cool moment. Like they're
Uh,
speaking to each other across like uh centuries, but they're all like having a coherent conversation, and that's really cool. My issue is like the rest, everything that precedes that, it's like just another Ezio story, and it's like it doesn't feel conclusive to anything he's built up in the previous. Like I was so disappointed to find like none of the characters from the previous 2 games like carried over to this supposed conclusion. None of
It's more
it.
of an epilogue, though, isn't it? It's more coda to me. It was. It didn't feel like here's the third chapter, here's the Return of the King, here's the Last Crusade. It was just
hmm
and here's a little sweet coat. And also, I want to not put in sadness because the series gets a lot worse.
But I just, it's
There are
just
games here
so,
that are not just okay.
I
There are
don't
games here
know.
that are terrible.
Like the most interesting part about Revelations is like the hook blade. It's one part hook, one part
Mm,
blade, and the
yeah,
grenade crafting. Even though a lot of those crafting options were kind of useless.
yeah.
Uh, um, I just, and also like the
It's got a sweet
romance,
little narrative. It's
the
got a sweet little
romance
narrative.
subplot. I don't know. I don't know about Ezio's choice on the love of his life. I was just kind of like, her. That's what we're going with.
There's enough like plucky niceness to it. I can't promise to hate it. Like it is it's okay. It's fine.
It's
I really quite like it. And because I was a bit about Brotherhood, I and then this got a bit of blowback. I was like, I quite like this one. I was like, what are you talking about Brotherhood? I was like, this one's quite nice. And
mm,
now I think that Two and Brotherhood are a lot better than it, but I do like it.
I don't like it is nice. It's so rare to see like a video game character actually like grow into like old
Yeah.
age. Um
Yeah.
and I do like old man Ezio. I like that they go to that one Turkish city that's underground. Cuz I had known about that beforehand. I actually
Oh, that's
uh
visually it's stunning. It's such a
yeah.
it's a really
But
great looking game that gets the most out of that hardware. Just like they've just
but
refined
again,
that so
it's just
nicely.
like I don't know. It's another situation where I'm just kind of like meh on the overall
Yeah,
like
just
arc.
okay. You called just okay meh a little bit ago. This is all sounding just okay to me.
Fine, fine. It's just okay.
It's just okay.
We're gonna.
It's fine.
You're throwing off my whole system, Steven. Okay, Assassin's Creed Embers. Have you actually watched this?
No.
This was like bundled with the deluxe edition of Revelations. It's a
Yeah.
30-minute short CGI movie about like the actual end of Ezio's life.
I may have watched it actually back in the day, but I have no memory because I consumed a
This
lot
is
of
a better
Assassin's Creed stuff.
this is a better conclusion to Ezio's story than
Okay.
Revelations. I'm putting it up in good. Um,
We're putting a not video game up there. Great.
yes, it's the one not video game of this franchise I consumed. um,
Okay. Excellent. There you go. Cool. I agree.
it
Sounds
has a
nice.
it has a real nice conclusion. Like the actual moment of Ezio's death is so like ambiguous in a really interesting way. Where he's just sitting on a bench and this like guy that looks just like a younger version of him sits down and they have a conversation. And then like Ezio starts having a heart attack or something, or you don't know. It's like, did that guy kill him or
I've
what have you?
definitely seen this. I've definitely seen this.
And the guy just like grabs his shoulder and says, "Courage, old man." And then he walks off and like vanishes. And it's like, what was that? You know? I think
Yeah, I've definitely seen that.
I think it's a real nice, like, fitting conclusion for that character. Ezio is like maybe the best assassin, but like
It's the problem,
character,
isn't
main
it?
character. But the problem
He
is he has 3 games and a movie to hype him up.
Yeah, which is why again Brotherhood. I was just like, I I want the new Ezio. I don't want Ezio again.
Well, Assassin's
Well, be
Creed
careful what you
3.
wish for.
Oh dear. Oh, are we gonna have a fight? Are
Assassin's
we?
Creed 3, maybe the worst game in the series. Put me a
Oh
step down the
no, we're
sadness.
having a
This is
fight.
atrocious. This
We're
is
having a
I'm
fight.
so annoyed. What a terrible game.
Really?
Yes.
Oh
The
no.
boat stuff is good. Everything else sucks. It's not in
Oh.
cities anymore. Like you're just going around through trees. The story is terrible. The new character is not very good. The ending is utterly abysmal and absolutely makes no sense.
No, I really no, what you're all saying, like this could go into flawed easily, but this is like my dark favorite of the series. Like I really like what Assassin's Creed 3 is attempting. Uh
Is it attempting to be a like video game that is good because it fails at that?
oh. What okay, number one issue like I get people get mad about this is a lot of the time it feels like you're on training wheels. It takes so long
Yeah.
to get
Oh my
to
god. Yeah, it's
box
only
art
tutorial.
cover Connor
Yeah, and the opening's brilliant though. The prologue
with
mission
Hatham.
as with Haytham is so good,
Mhm.
and then the game is never as good as its first 20 minutes.
Oh, I disagree. This has like some of the like most memorable missions to me, like the one where
I
you're
don't remember
running
anything.
across Charleston as it's being bombarded from the sea and you're like jumping over roofs and then you got to hijack a boat to go to the ships.
I mean,
The the
this
chasing
goes to
down Charles Lee and the ending
the
in the
content
bar.
divide. The content divide here is this stuff outside of growing up with this stuff is
Mhm.
so uninteresting. These locations are so uninteresting as gameplay locations, and they're
This
not
is
nice looking.
here's the issue. He's here. I'm American. I like the story about
Yeah,
the American
I
Revolution.
I do not.
It,
It's so yeah. I
um,
don't like playing in these places. They're not good cities to explore and be around. It's just mostly trees.
No, I like it. I like going in the wilds. I like hopping up on the trees because that gives me like the first true feeling of like I'm I'm hiding somewhere that the I didn't get till like the first game. When you're like in the
You're
first game
hiding
that
away from the cities and the rest of the gameplay because the game isn't very good.
um I will admit like the homesteading stuff I didn't really touch on all that much. I do kind of like that you can just recruit people for certain jobs, and then if you just bum around the homestead, I don't know why you would, but if you bum around there for like 20 minutes or so, you'll actually see them have conversations with each other. Um,
Okay.
I
I mean,
like
it's telling that you'd want to just bum around and do nothing else because otherwise you have to play Assassin's Creed 3.
I like Connor as a protagonist. There, I'll say it.
What? Who is Connor?
Oh God, is his name not Connor?
No, I mean in the broadly. Who is Connor?
Oh,
Like,
who is he?
this-
He is
yeah.
the guy that he is the Superman of the franchise. He is trying to be just a good person, and the world keeps telling him that he should be cruel and scummy. There's the bit where you kill Thomas Hickey, and Connor's like, your plans and machinations have come to an end, and the guy's like, my plan was to make a lot of money. I accomplished that. Your plan is world peace. You will forever be chasing that. And that's like just such a statement on this game. This is such a nihilistic game for the franchise.
You're not selling this to me at all. You're making
Oh,
it
it's
sound
great.
worse.
It's so great. Like how, like the bit with Connor and Hatham on the roof, where Connor's like trying to like hype up the revolutionaries, being like they elected George Washington to be their leader, and Hatham's like they didn't elect crap. He was elected by like 12 guys in a closed room. Like this revolution is a sham. Like you don't understand. Like here in America, you don't talk shit on the revolution. Like and having this game end like the real final cutscene being the British leaving New York Harbor and people shouting like we're not going to have tyrants here in America, and Connor like casually looking over as they're unloading a ship of slaves. Like that's such a and he just shakes his head and walks off, and he's going to try to keep being like he's going to try keep steering America in the right direction, but he knows that he's just like one man, and that's like I don't know, that really got to me as an ending. Um,
But bursting through this game all the time is terrible anima stuff. Like the animus at its worst. The modern day
mm,
storyline is just the nadir of the series, and the ending I was
let
so irritated by at the time. Where it presents you a
I
choice and you go, well, that one, and then it goes, no, I'm choosing the other one for you. You're like, what? What are you doing, video game?
I didn't even realize Desmond died there because it was so poorly communicated. I will agree, like the modern day stuff uh, is very poorly done. Desmond has like no relationship with his father, and not in the way they intend.
Mm.
But man, I don't
They called
know.
this game goddamn Assassin's Creed 3. Again, being at the time of the promise of the series,
Hmm.
as put at the end of Assassin's Creed 2 was, all right, cool, we learnt our things, now we fight in the present day, and we do this. And then that's why people were excited for Watch Dogs, because Watch Dogs would be like, this is what we
Hmm.
wanted Assassin's Creed to be, and then it turns out that Watch Dogs wasn't very good. And then
I
them egging it out, and then being like, here's 3, it's still not what you want.
Yeah, I
this is,
don't
and
know if I
then
ever really wanted like a modern day set Assassin's Creed, because then that would just be like only two steps away from being like GTA with
mm,
some parkour. Um, I
yeah.
like the period settings because we get so few period settings in video games.
True,
Particularly,
but it at the sacrifice of the Desmond story was really interesting and really good, and it's
yeah.
like you got to be if it was just period setting game, yeah, I agree with you, but they should have just wrapped up the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then or given you a game that was split between mostly modern day like a city, and then going back to a thing in the past to have to and fro that way. In the same that some do have multiple cities, and then just refusing to do that and just finding less and less interesting locales. Blech.
I don't know. I like I said, it's my dark favorite. I acknowledge it has issues, but I remember so much more of
It
this.
sounds like it's flawed to me because I would put it in the sadness. I would put it at the bottom,
Mm,
bottom, bottom.
mm,
It sounds flawed.
you're just mad I put it above two.
It's not above two. It's
It's on
surface two.
the same rung.
Which is wild, but it's flawed. It's flawed. It's a flawed game.
No, I'm keeping it. I won't buckle.
Okay, okay. Well, you owe me a few, but fine. We'll keep going.
No. Okay, Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation. Did you play this?
Yes.
You did? Can I
Yeah.
put it in the sadness tier?
It's better than Assassin's Creed 3. I mean,
Do you, really?
yeah. What
Really?
did you? Yeah. What did you play it on?
I played the remaster.
I played it on my Vita, and it was great.
Okay, well it is made for Vita given its like little bite-sized little 5-minute missions and telling
Yeah,
you where to go with the parkour.
yeah.
Um,
It was a decent handheld Assassin's Creed game that was better than the game it was a spin-off from, and had a
mm,
more interesting character and a more interesting story.
oh, I don't agree that Evelyn is more interesting. I find her way more boring.
I mean, I'm not saying she's good, but she's better than Connor.
No, I the Louisiana like New Orleans setting is interesting. Uh, that's about it. The mission, the characters, the missions, the story really isn't
Okay.
interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm.
The fake out ending, where it's like she joined the Templars, but actually she killed them all, is such a nothing ending.
Willing to fight for it. It's fine, whatever. I mean, I think it's okay, but
I think the disguise system is conceptually interesting, but they don't really do
God, yeah, I
anything with
forgot
it.
about that.
You forgot about the disguise system, and there it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Because you wouldn't
I,
be in anything other than your assassin's garb, because that lets you do everything that you need to do.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's it's not very good, but it was fun to play on the Vita when I was playing a job that just let me sit behind a desk and just like play on the Vita for a while. So
Black Flag. I will put this in the flawed tier for me.
this is top three Assassin's Creed game, easy.
I, you know, I almost was gonna get like Black Flag on its own when I first got like a good gaming PC, because this was the one I heard.
Mm.
Like,
I played this on PC. Yeah,
if you've never played an Assassin's Creed game, this is the game.
yeah.
Um, this game, much like Assassin's Creed 1, almost made me wish I was not, like, I wanted to stop playing through the franchise. And like, here's the thing. Black Flag has maybe the best story of the
Yeah.
franchise. The
It's got
story of like the pirates
such a great
and
main character.
yes. I hate the gameplay and mission design. I despise how many tailing missions, ship tailing missions, just how stretched out everything is. Um, the
I
the
Assassin's
grind,
Creed Wind Waker. It's just Assassin's Creed Wind Waker. I had a great time. I just did
just
so much. I
the
explored everywhere, did
combat,
everything.
the combat in 4 is so what's the word I'm looking for? I could do it in my sleep. It's like
Oh
not
yeah, no, that is true. It's like Fable
it's
3. It
not
becomes a nothing.
complicated. It never gets harder. They just add more
No.
dudes.
Yeah.
And it really makes stealth a non-entity, because it's like, well, I could stealth through this, or I could just do 5 minutes of combat and kill everyone. you know?
People know that I would put it above Assassin's Creed 3, but I'll let it hang out on flawed. But I really love Black Flag. I think it's excellent.
Like, I will not undermine like the story and like how it deals with like its themes of liberty and
Oh, the
freedom.
sea shanties,
The
just
sea
doing your
shanties,
boat,
the ending with
upgrading your
parting
boat, the
glass.
jackdaw.
Like,
Oh,
yes, that is all excellent. That would, if there was a good gameplay tied to it, I would put it right up here above Brotherhood. But I don't really like. I like the sailing better in 3. I'll say it. Of the
the,
game's
the
focus.
sailing, the sailing was the best part of 3, and I was glad to have a game that expanded on that. And I hated the sailing in Odyssey. Hated it.
Oh, yeah. Trust me. I don't think we'll fight on Odyssey. Um,
Okay, good.
it's just. And I'm a guy who like really loves like pirate lore.
Okay.
And I appreciate this is like the best rendition of Blackbeard I've ever seen. Like,
Okay.
in terms of like accuracy to who that dude was. I love that they include Calico Jack and get it right that he's just like the shit heel of the pirate world. You got Anne Bonny and all that. Like the your name's not actually Captain Kidd, is it? Or whatever that line is. Um
It's I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. It's
yeah, I took a 2-month break because I was like, do I want to keep playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag? I know it's just going to like go on for 20 more hours. Um yeah, Freedom Cry. I forgot I even had this here.
I didn't play Freedom Cry.
Freedom Cry is here because you can get it separate. So I figured why not? It's like liberation in
Yeah,
that way.
I didn't.
Freedom Cry is Adewale's story of starting the Haitian Revolution.
Cool.
It's a much more condensed version of Black Flag system, so I'm putting it up in the good tier.
Okay.
Adewale's
I
a
never
really
played it. I should play it.
Adewale's a really fun and compelling character. Um, when all the like these other assassins are like doing their tricky footwork and like pouncing from the shadows, Adewale's out here liberating Haiti with just like a blunderbuss and a machete.
I love
Uh,
that.
it's great how it
Is
talks.
that where can I play that now? Can I just like download it on an Xbox?
Probably. I played
Okay.
all of these. Ubisoft has their like launcher, Ubisoft Connect,
Yeah,
where for like I think it's $10 a month, you just get access to their full library. It's like Game Pass.
I'm not doing that Ubisoft, thank you. But
Yeah.
okay,
Um.
I will believe you on that one.
Yeah. Freedom Scribe. It's fun. It's real short. It's like 6 hours.
Oh, cool. Then I will play that.
Rogue. Um.
I have Rogue downloaded. I've never played it.
Okay, Rogue. Rogue is like a complete inverse of Black Flag for me.
Okay.
Rogue has a dog shit story.
People that play it really like it, but then no one played it, including me.
Well, it released the same year as Unity,
Yes.
but it's like still in the old engine, so that's a problem. Um,
Well, because that was the thing, wasn't it? They said that Unity they were going to release only on PS4 and Xbox One. And
yeah,
as a make good, they were like, you people that still got 360 PS3s, you can play Rogue, and then no one did.
yeah. So Rogue is the big conceit is that you are an assassin turned Templar. You're Shay McCormack, Irish immigrant to America. He makes his own luck. Um,
Oh, good for him.
and it's set like before the events of 3, so you have like young Achilles, you have
Oh, so you can
Adewale.
stop 3 from happening? Could you stop 3 from happening?
uh you have Adewale there. He's like an old man with like one eye. um the the mechanism of how Shay turns from assassin to Templar is really stupid. They find like this this wooden box that when you run an electric current through it projects a map of the world with these like vaults, these Isu
Of course.
vaults.
Makes
Uh,
sense.
and Shay's like, that one's in Lisbon. I took a summer there once. I would bet my life on it. And he goes to Lisbon and he goes into the vault and there's like this little glowing crystal and he touches
Oh,
it.
did you
It
play in
crumbles.
Lisbon? Where is the game set?
It's set in America. It's set in the American like Canadian border. It's all set up north. You can go as far as Newfoundland, I think. But for that sequence, you're in Lisbon, and he touches the crystal. The crystal crumbles into dust, and the entire place begins shaking. He has just triggered the Great Lisbon Earthquake of 1765.
Oh, that's rough. Okay.
And so he comes
Some
back,
very
and he's like,
Eternals of it.
he comes back, and he's like, "You're messing with things you don't understand. I've just killed millions." And Adewale and Achilles are like, we're going to continue looking for these vaults, regardless of what you say. And so Shay takes the box and he runs away, and they're like, you're excommunicado, you're kill on
Ah,
sight. And he
well done,
runs into
Rick.
the strong fatherly arms of Hatham Kenway.
Ah,
And Hatham's like, do you want to be a Templar? The Templars actually have the right of it, you know.
hey, I'm a better character than Connor. How you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah. And you just go around systematically taking out Achilles' like American assassin order. And the only way this works is that they completely change the ideals of both factions. So the Templars are acting like assassins, the assassins are acting like Templars. There's a point where it's like, uh, you speak to one of your old assassin buddies and she's like, "Oh, we've heard there's a Templar hideout here in New York Harbor. So we're going to poison the entire city to clear out all the Templars."
How
And it's
much boat stuff is in Rogue?
Rogue has a lot of boat stuff. It's like the same engine as Black Flag, but you get a
Yeah.
smaller, faster ship. So the combat's like the steering and stuff's all swifter because you're up north. There are like
Oh,
glaciers that are floating about, and you can use those as cover or steer your enemies into them to deal massive damage.
how
You
long
also
is it?
get like puckle guns, which are like early machine guns, which is just like allows you to do consistent, like frequent damage, which helps
Sure.
the battles go faster. Like everything's just quicker in Rogue. And that goes right down to the playtime. I beat this game in 8 hours.
Oh wow, the reason I've never played it because it just Assassin's Creed games are long, and I was just like, I just
Its map is just as big as Black Flag's, but the actual
Black
plot
Flag is huge.
Yeah, it is. No, it is. It's the entire like New York Canadian River Valley. But the actual campaign missions only took me 8 hours, and I think that was with like 2 hours of just like doing side stuff. I bet this game can be beaten in 6. I really
Okay,
bet it.
I might just do that at some point.
Um, and they give you like an air rifle that is like your you know how in like the previous ones they give you all these like different gadgets. It's like you have the blow
Yeah.
dart, you have the grenades.
Yeah.
The air rifle is just all that in one. It has different attachment nozzles, so it's just like it can shoot a grenade, it can shoot a dart, it can do whatever you want, and that's just like so satisfying to use. It feels like a Batman Arkham game. Um, it
What
it
is
brings
your favourite game?
back
Brotherhood.
it
Do you know
brings
that your
back the
favourite
base
game, Brotherhood?
captures.
You know that game you love so much, Brotherhood, where they're just like, do you want to buy the new weapon from the shop randomly? It's like, oh, it's a crossbow for sale. I guess I'll buy that.
I love that. I love just like being like, oh, here's a brand new toy that changes everything up, rather than it being like a whole mission thing. Um,
Yes, true. I hate creative mission design. You're right.
um, they bring back like the base liberation stuff from Brotherhood, but now it's like you're
Cool.
liberating them from the assassins. And they introduce like a new enemy type that I'm shocked didn't carry over to any of the other games, the stalker. So because you're fighting assassins, you're having to deal with their tactics. So everything that you've done in all the previous games, like dropping from a high ledge, hiding in hay bales, hiding in plain sight, these enemies will do that to you, but you can't like
Cool.
ID them on your eagle vision. When you're near one, Shay's like special spider sense that he has will start like doing creepy whispers. And it's like, all right, there's like a secret enemy around here. And you've got to like ID which one they are by how like the NPC is behaving. And that's like super cool and satisfying. It can really catch you off guard when you're like in combat. There was a moment where I was like losing a fight. I had to like run away. And I thought to myself, I'll just like break line of sight, throw down a smoke bomb, go hide in that nearby hay bale. I ran over to the hay bale. Dude jumped out, shanked me, and killed me. And that was just
Really
like,
cool.
whoa, I guess I have to think about hay bales now.
Okay.
It's
I'll accept Rogue there.
but it's a I can't undermine how shit the story
Okay,
is.
yeah, no, that sounds delightfully done, though. Sounds delightfully done.
Like I just talked about Adewale freeing Haiti in his whole
Yeah,
thing.
and then
In this, you learn that he also like went into one of those vaults and caused an earthquake in Haiti, completely devastating the population. And Shay brings this up to him, and Adewale is just like gives the equivalent of a shrug. It's like, dude, I thought you were all about this.
I do not care for that.
Unity. Oh, Unity. Did you play Unity?
Yes.
I want to put Unity in the flawed.
Yeah, I agree. I really like Unity.
I
think it's got a beautiful city. It's
It's
the prettiest of the games.
yeah, the best like oh man. Unity is almost I know I just said this for Rogue, but Unity truly is the inverse of Black Flag for me. Like the gameplay is the best in the
Yeah.
series. Like best combat, best stealth, best
Oh,
parkour.
the downward parkour, which they dropped
Oh,
for some reason, is awesome.
that's so great.
Mm.
The combat's real nice and weighty, and you can feel the variety in the weapons. Like each weapon has its place, has like the scenario you would use it in.
Sense of place is wonderful. Like Paris is such a great city to be in. It just looks absolutely stunning. There are some really cool kind of like simulation-y kind of like building into the real world missions. If I remember, some like cool platform
The
stuff that just
because
looks
this is
visually very outstanding.
this is the phase where it's like the Animus is a video game console.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's like
we didn't even mentioned that in Black Flag. The whole like Black Flag, you finding like emails from that you play as Ubisoft.
yeah, it's
Everyone
played
hates
by Ubisoft. Michel Ancel is in the game.
It's like Ubisoft are actually Abstergo, which actually, well, when we found out about Ubisoft and their internal culture, Black Flag was just a cry for help, which is therefore an important historical document.
Yeah, but Unity's whole thing about you being like a beta tester that the assassins get in contact with, and like we're
Yeah.
gonna hack your game and show you the things they don't want you to see, and like that part of that involves like going to Paris at different points in time. There's like the World's Fair, there's World War II,
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah,
all
it's cool, that stuff.
cool.
That's really cool.
And like the
I can't
stealth.
remember anything that happens in it. I can't remember any.
Yes,
of the story
I'm getting there.
lines.
I'm getting there. I just want to highlight the stealth is also like again, the best in the series. Like I thought I was gonna hate it how they changed the stealth. Like, oh, you actually have to do like the crouch around stuff
Yeah.
now, and the your eagle vision is a pulse rather than just like a toggle. But that all actually really helps you get more in a mindset of like what fights you can and can't do, because the combat is so much more difficult and weighty and methodical. You really have to think about whether or not you want to engage in a like a group fight scenario. So stealth, taking out enemies one by one, is much more attractive, and you can do some badass ninja shit. Like I remember a thing
Man.
you know, I dropped from like a roof onto a guard, and then quickly used the what do they call it? The silent blade. Your hidden blade can shoot out, and
Oh my god, yeah, that's so
did
cool.
that on a guy that had just spotted me. Like you can headshot dudes with that.
Oh, Unity is great. It was broken at release though. It
I
was they
only
had the
experienced one major bug where I stabbed a target, and she like glitched out and flew across the room, alerting all the guards.
I have so many screenshots still on my PS4 of just like inside out people and just etc etc and people just like floating. They were fun bugs. I really like Unity. I can't
Okay, the
remember
story of
anything that happened.
Unity is likewise horrible.
Could not tell you a thing that happened in that game.
That's the Romeo and Juliet one, where it's you have Arno Dorian and his love
Yeah.
interest slash stepsister. They don't really call attention to that. Um,
A real Zebra
Elise,
game.
and she was raised by the Templars, and he's an assassin, but they're gonna
Is
make it
that why it's
work.
called Unity?
Maybe, uh, maybe, but
Maybe they are drawing attention to
uh, Assassin's Creed Alabama. Um,
it.
but like the whole thing, by this point in the series, they've really like pulled back from like the philosophy of the
Yeah.
that made like the first game and like the Ezio trilogy really like admirable for like video games. Like, hey, let's steal in some like real philosophy here about like what it means
Yeah.
to be free and stuff. In
Mm.
this, it's like they Elise and Arno don't talk about their differing beliefs. It's like Arno never pulls her aside and is like, "Hey, do you really believe in the subjugation of all mankind?" At the most you get is Elise being like, "Oh, you've gotten in those silly assassin beliefs, but don't worry, I can fix you." It's
I,
not a well-written romance.
this was also like premiere like map bloat as well, of just being like, here's a world and just do everything. You're like, I'd really rather not.
There's so much. Whenever I finished one of these games, like I finished the main story, I would usually move pretty much immediately on to the next, but I would look for like some amount of side content to
Yeah.
do, just like to get a feel for that. In
I
Unity, I was
always
like,
climb all the towers. That's the thing I always do.
I usually did that. Unity, I was running around like looking, begging for something interesting to do, but all
Yeah.
of the side missions are nothing. It's the equivalent. You walk up to a dude with an exclamation point over his head. You talk to him, and he's like, "There's this guard that's like beating children. Go deal with him." The guard is like literally a block away, like around a corner. You go up, shank him, hide in the crowd. You get a pop-up box that said you completed that mission. It's it's nothing, and that's such a shame because the systems in place are would make for like a perfect series going forward.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
my biggest point of contention, genuinely, it's a game set in France during the French Revolution. All the characters have English accents,
Yeah. I know. I know. I know.
which is which is shocking because like the previous games really went out of their way to like hire like people that can do the accent or speak the language.
Also, it's Ubisoft. Like,
It's set in they're literally a French-based company.
like, what are you doing? Yeah. I
Napoleon
like. I
and
like
Robespierre show up for like 5 seconds apiece, which is bizarre to me. And maybe
this. The,
go ahead.
well, I was gonna move on to the next one, but if you
Uh,
want one more, I was gonna say I'm very interested to know what you're gonna say about Syndicate because I have thoughts.
okay. The only other thing about Unity that bugs me, and maybe it's because I don't really know that much about the French Revolution other than like the surface level understanding, but it was really weird to me that in Unity they have the assassins being on the side of the bourgeoisie and the nobility, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Templars
That
are
was weird.
funding the revolution.
Very telling of what the series became.
Um, so Syndicate, Uh, Syndicate is stupid, and I kind of love it. I want to put it in the good tier.
I would put it down at just okay. It's just so much systems bloat. It's
Mm-hmm.
it I really liked it for the first few hours, and then I was just like I actively like resented playing it. I think its systems become very irritating. It becomes just like management of annoying systems. It doesn't really do much with the world. It feels systems laid on top of the world as opposed to an
Mm-hmm.
actual world that you explore and have systems in, which I think Brotherhood is actually like maybe the best match of being like these things interact nicely with it. I spent as much time looking at maps and trying to work out that layer of the game. The characters are ridiculous. The story, I can't remember what happens. The two characters got very nothing out of.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty, and I liked climbing up the Tower of Westminster, Tower of the Palace of Westminster. But it's not a very good game.
Yeah. Uh, there's not a lot I can really. You know what? For you, I'll put it down to just okay. I'll
I
even
would
put it
never
below
want to play it again.
Revelations.
I would
I
never want to play it
Here's
again.
the thing. Like when I started up Syndicate, and I knew going in that this was going to be a much safer game because Unity bombed, and I was like looking at the combat and the stealth, and I was just like, oh, they massacred my boy. Look how they massacred my boy, because it is just like
Yeah,
straight up. We want to be Arkham now. Like the combat is
yeah,
just straight up simplified Arkham combat,
yeah.
um, with
It's
really
not good.
gratuitous animations. Um, but once I started really getting in like the groove of it, I don't know. Like this game, I I almost
Just
100%ed it unintentionally. And I don't know how that happened.
because it's just so repetitive, and because it makes you engage with its systems. It was just my memory of it is
Hmm.
just the same. Liberate this factory again and again. They must all be the same factory.
Yeah. But that's something that's been in all of these games, so I can't really knock Syndicate for that. But the thing is, like, I would do that on the way to other missions. Like, I
Yeah.
would be going along, and I think it's because they gave
Well,
you
they
that
make you
grapple
do so
gun.
much. Don't in this game? Don't they keep gating progress behind to now do some more side stuff?
Um, no, not to my memory. That's
Because I
more.
thought that I thought you had to have like certain levels of like territory control to unlock missions and stuff.
Oh, maybe I never encountered that because I was doing the territory liberation
Yeah,
as like I would be on the way to an objective and it'd be like, "Oh, in the way is this factory you need to liberate or this gang
it's
hideout you
like
need to
I
take out."
don't want to do that anymore. I just want to play the story. And it's
No,
like
I just like I
no.
stopped my progress, I did that and then moved on my way.
Yeah,
And I think it's because they gave you that grapple gun which like completely removed the
yeah,
need for the parkour, but it made it real quick and easy to get around.
yeah.
Which is good because they made London massive. It's really funny when
Mm.
you compare London and Syndicate to London in Valhalla, and it's just like it's one's a micro city in comparison.
Wait, on this tier list, Murph, and when they're in the tiers, are they just agnostically in the tiers, or are they ranked in the tiers?
Which would make you the least mad?
Just tell me for my own good. They're just agnostic in their tiers.
They're agnostic in their tiers.
Good. Do you want to move Assassin's Creed 2 one to the left though, just for aesthetic reasons?
No, because see, you've got red here and red here, so it's
Okay.
like a nice visual thing. It's like a
Then
Hollywood
do you want to
poster.
move Black Flag one to the left for aesthetic reasons?
No, because this is orange and they're all kind of wearing orange, and then
Okay.
it
All right.
bleeds into like the white here.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair
It's
enough.
like a Hollywood poster.
Yeah. Okay. Just do it. Just all
Uh,
everything is equal on a tier. All is equal on a tier.
yeah, sure. Syndicate, I love that they tried to like fit in every historical figure that ever lived in London at that time as your quest givers. I think that's
Yeah.
stupid and very funny. I love the moment where you're like escaping a factory with Charles Darwin and it explodes and I swear he says something like I was almost naturally selected.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
I
like
I don't like Syndicate very much.
yeah, and I totally get it. I've seen people that say it feels like a parody of the games, but
Mm.
I don't know. I think at that point in the series, I was feeling kind of fatigued, especially after like Unity really let me down with its side content. I was just
Yeah.
like, this game's stupid and it's fun and inoffensive. Um, I like it.
Okay.
Uh, Yeah.
It sounds just okay to me.
Chronicles.
Didn't play.
These games are just all right. They're just okay. Um,
Apparently, they get like really frustrating and irritating. Is all
they
the things I
do.
heard, and I was like, I don't want that.
The big
No.
shameful thing about the Chronicles games is they're all settings that would have made for really interesting mainline games.
Yeah,
Like you've got China, you've got India during the Golden Era, and then you've got the October Revolution,
yeah.
1919 Russia, which are all really interesting scenarios. The gameplay is just kind of like snappy. These are side scrollers, and it's kind of
Mark of the
like
Ninja-esque.
what was that?
Mark, did you ever play Mark of the Ninja?
No, I have it, but I've never played it. But
It's very good.
looking at comparisons, yeah, it is that type of gameplay. And a lot of it is just trying to get you like really in a groove of like moving quick through the levels.
Yeah.
They give you like a lot of mobility, and if you can like really perfect your inputs, you can like beat through a lot of the combat encounters really quick. The issue is that the plots are kind of nothing because they didn't really have a lot of faith in this game. Um, there's like the October Revolution thing is like you're storming the uh oh, what are their names? The who were the czars? You're storming the palace or whatever, and you fight Rasputin, and then you like there's like this little girl dressed in a servant's uniform, and the assassins want to kill her, but you're like, no, we shouldn't take innocent life, and you protect her, and you go rogue from the assassins protecting her, and at the very end of the game, she's like, my name's Anastasia.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Uh, they're just fine. I would like to see them expanded or those settings revisited.
Yeah.
Oh, the main girl, the girl in China from this first appeared in the Embers movie. She was directly trained by Ezio, so that's neat.
Okay.
Origins.
Excellent.
You think excellent? Because to me, Origins is either just good or just okay.
I think Origins is maybe the best game in the series.
Really? Well, define.
Yeah,
What does that mean? Break that down.
as in the most fun I had playing and interacting with all of its systems, like really immersive, amazing open world. Love the missions, love the openness of it. Didn't feel like I was doing spreadsheets. Loved the character work, loved the story. Did everything in every zone and got so much out of it. The RPG stuff felt additive. Once you got past it, was different. Oh, and I realized you go underwater and there was stuff down there as well. Just a really beautiful, great playing game. Loved it completely. Absolutely adored it.
You know, I really can't. This is another Assassin's Creed 2 scenario where I can't refute any of that because I don't remember a lot of chunks of this game. I really like Bayek as a protagonist.
Bayek's great.
He's probably one of my like top 3 favorite assassins. He reminds me of a very dependable coworker I had years ago. And his relationship with Aya, and she's a really interesting character. Did you do the DLC?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Much like the later 2 games, the remaining 2 games, this is really dragged down by the DLC inflating the playtime. Particularly because that I didn't really gel too much with the RPG combat because I don't know, I didn't like having
I liked it in Origins. I liked
yes,
it a lot.
Origins does it best because it's very limited, whereas the other 2 games kind of necessitated it so they could sell you XP boosters. But in Origins, it felt creative and interesting, but it got to a point where I was like, I had to get really good at the combat in this. Like I was dying in 3 hits to everything. So and then I found one of those cursed weapons, a cursed sword that makes it so you deal massive amounts of damage, but you have really limited health. And I was like, well, I'm already dying in 3 hits. What's dying in 2 hits gonna change? And so I picked that up and I like cleaved through the rest of the game just with that sword.
Yeah, but the stealth is really good. I just loved playing Origins and was not expecting to.
I guess I can plonk it in good. It's just like, yeah, like as an origin story for the Creed, how do you feel about it?
Decent. Like yeah.
Because it's one of those origin stories where it's like everything ever about the thing is established right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the
no, for
moment
sure.
where he drops like that bird skull necklace in the sand, and he's like, "We need to move forward and create a new symbol." And his wife picks it up, and the imprint is the assassin logo.
Yeah.
I
Like
shouted
this,
at the TV. I said,
if that was in Syndicate, you'd love it. Just saying.
I probably would have, but Syndicate's not an origin story.
Yeah, true, and it's also befitting of the tone. It's like
Yeah, this
totally.
this takes
The
itself
game is
very
acknowledged it.
seriously, which is
It
to its
does.
benefit because these last couple, like this is a step up in terms of story. Like what
Yeah,
looking back here, like
hugely.
the last story I thought was good was Black Flag, so Rogue no,
Yeah,
Unity no, Syndicate
yeah,
Chronicles no. So like yeah, I think you've talked
yeah.
me into putting
Okay,
it good.
look at it. I think yeah, I think it's
The
an outstanding
the
game.
DLC isn't that great, particularly the when they start tiptoeing into the fantasy stuff where you're fighting Mummy
Yeah, I
Tutankhamen.
didn't want that. I just DLC
Those
for open world games so much doesn't work for me. So I'm like, I felt like I'm done with that world. I don't need more stuff to go back into it.
yeah, and those DLC boss fights, like genuinely, I had to perfect those because it's like there's one that I took like 3 hours to beat because like traditional like Soulsy combat like this Zelda combat is you wait for the enemy to attack and then you
Yeah,
attack with the opening, you dodge. And this boss had like no windows of opportunity, so I had to equip daggers and literally do kill him with bug bites. Like I
ugh,
dodge to the left, hit twice, dodge to the left, hit twice. Like there was no window of opportunity. It was very insufferable. I was kind of glad to be done with the game after that excruciating DLC. But the main game is very good, and I think it is worth
yeah,
putting in the good tier.
yeah.
Okay, are we going to fight about Odyssey and Sadness?
Oh, it's awful. I hate it. I've never. I think it's an absolutely terrible game.
This game took me 93 hours to beat, and
I'm
that
still playing. I've been playing it for 3 years now.
it's just part of the issue is genuinely familiarity breeds contempt.
Yep.
And after 93 hours in a game, I don't remember at what point I had finished the main story. Part of that bloat is the DLC, which is like ridiculously long. But the whole thing with the level gating in Origins was frustrating, but I
Oh,
could live with it.
yeah.
Odyssey, anytime an enemy is even like 2 levels above you, it is a war of attrition you will always lose. You do so little damage and they do so
Everything
much.
feels the same. The weapons just it technically plays very similarly, and I've not played them together to really. But just everything just feels just a bit wrong. It just feels weightless. It just feels frictionless. The whole thing, and just the bigness of all of it. So I feel with Origins, it made you commit to places, and I remember walking around and looking at people doing little AI routines, and in this, the world doesn't matter. You just like sprint through and do things. It is just a backdrop to
Yeah.
do stuff. And the way it gates stuff behind the story, which I hated in Brotherhood as well. So I was stuff is if stuff is on the map, I'll just go and do it, and I'm like, I'm going to do all of this mission type, and was doing loads of those, and I was being like, I'm just wasting my time. And I
Mhm.
played a story mission, and it was just like, oh, here's a whole new side bit to the game. I'm like, what? They don't unlock the whole like conspiracy map thing. And it's like, well, that's in all those locations I've already been to and done, and now you want to go back to them
Yeah.
again and do them again. Oh,
Yeah. And Origins is very clever in that you really only go to like half the map ultimately if you're just following the story.
yeah,
Um Odyssey, it takes you like man, it takes you all over the place. And like
yeah. The boat
each
sucks.
and like in terms of like I don't know, it's like the scope of the content I guess is admirable. Like there's like you can do the Colosseum, you can do the Hippodrome like racing and that has its own like narrative arc. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think I can really but
I feel myself
it's
dying when I play it. I feel
yeah,
like,
that's it. That's ultimately it. I feel myself rotting. I feel the hours
yeah,
slipping away because
it
nothing
has no
here is
respect for my time.
it's it's just that Skinner box. It's just that grind. Nothing
Mm.
here is compelling enough, which is like like the one mission to me that was ever interesting. There's two actually, but the main story mission where you go to the party and it has all the Greek playwrights and philosophers together. That tickled my fancy as a classics nerd, especially when you talk to Aristophanes and he doesn't. I was playing as Cassandra, and Aristophanes
Yes,
doesn't like treat you as a human if you're playing as a woman, which is very in character. He calls you it.
but it's just
Um,
is just such a fan servicey, frictionless video game. Being like, just it lets you do everything to the detriment of anything. Of like the parkour becomes the point where you just like run anywhere, pretty much like prototype run up walls.
Yeah, like the
romance
parkour
and
is
interactions.
pointless at this point in the
Yeah,
series. It's just a means to get you from point A to point B in the straightest line possible,
yeah.
and that's lame. If it had
I don't
taken
like
the
games where the bits in between don't matter. I
yeah,
just don't like that.
if
I
it had
want the in
taken
between bits
the
of the good bits.
if it taken the Breath of the Wild approach where you
Mhm.
have like a stamina meter and that
Yeah,
affected what you can and can't climb, that would have been
yeah,
interesting. That would have added some amount of dynamicism. But
yeah.
like, did you do the DLC?
Again, I'm still partway. I'm still genuinely quite early on in the video game. I've played so much of it, and I
Okay.
just can't bring myself back
The
to playing it because
DLC,
it upsets
the
me.
the forging of the first blade or whatever it's called is genuinely the worst thing in the entire
Oh
franchise.
god,
So in that, I just want to talk about
what?
this because this made me so mad. I was blindingly mad at this DLC. Um, in it, you encounter this guy, Darius, I think his name is, and he's the guy that killed Xerxes of Persia.
Of course.
Um, and it's like he tells this whole, which is in canon. Like when you go down to the Ezio Villa, like the Auditore Villa in that like basement area, it shows you all
Yeah.
the like famous assassins.
Yes.
Um, but Darius took out Xerxes, and he like tells his story of like, oh, they were being ruled over by this secret group called the Order of Ancients, and I forged this hidden blade in this creed of assassins to take him out. It's like, hold up. If this guy fought the Order of Ancients, who are the antagonists of Assassin's Creed Origins, he forged the first hidden blade and started a creed of assassins. Why wasn't Assassin's Creed Origins about him?
Yeah.
And then he has a son. He has a son named Natakas, who is the
Of course.
Millhouse of the Greek world. Um, and he and Cassandra, against the player's will, start a relationship and a family. Which is weird because I was having Cassandra going around kissing on all the girls she met. Um,
Mm.
but they start a family because Cassandra feels
I
alone
remember
in the
people
world.
really, yeah, I remember people complaining about that, of like how it did, like, which goes back to my complaint of because there is no actual stakes to anything. It's just this like free form nothing machine. So people
Yeah,
had made a Cassandra their own because there's no Cassandra there to play with. So then when it imprints a narrative, you're like, that's not the character I was playing. What is this?
yeah, especially since they kind of wanted it to be that you would play this alongside the main story, but I
Yeah,
played it all post game, and I had
yeah.
gotten the
It's
good
released
ending.
then.
I'd gotten the good ending of Odyssey, where all your family is alive and on your ship with you. Um, but when you wouldn't know that playing the DLC because Cassandra keeps talking about how she has no family and she's alone in the world, and that's why she needs it. She needs Greek Millhouse to put a baby in her. Um, it's oh my god, I was so mad, and
I remember
that's
another thing I hate about Odyssey.
uh,
Another thing is the goddamn nemesis system where you're trying to do a mission and there's just five
oh,
guys run up and start attacking you, and you're like, well, you're all just like, I'm just trying
the
to do
bounty
something.
hunters. The bounty hunters are
Yeah.
nothing. I never had an interesting bounty. The only interesting system in Odyssey, I liked the cultist system, where it's like you have to
I really
uncover.
just got to it.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool because you have to like uncover clues about people to figure out who's part of the cult of Cosmos. But if you
Yeah.
just like, you can also intuit on your own. If you're like just sailing around and see this like, fortress with like a dude with a golden spear out, you can probably just go,
Yeah.
I think that guy's a cultist. I'll go up and murder stab him just to be sure. And sure enough, um, like so much of my rating on this game is because I went out of my way. I did all the main story endings. I did the Atlantis stuff. I did all the TLC, and by the end I was so incredibly burned out. I can't think of what I would put this game had I just done the bare minimum.
Oh
Um
yeah, I've done just mostly side stuff, and it just again I feel myself aging because it
Yeah.
just has no respect for putting everything in time. Yeah, it meant that I never played Valhalla because Odyssey I just thought was just awful.
Yeah, so Valhalla.
Okay,
Valhalla is going to be affected because I completed it before all its DLC came out, so I just did the
okay,
base game. Um, Valhalla, I feel like I can either put in good or flawed.
okay.
So,
That's good to me. I'm happy to hear that.
Valhalla, let me describe it to you and let me see how you feel. So, Valhalla reins in the RPG elements quite a bit.
Good.
It's rather than the loot is all unique loot. So every weapon has like a unique thing it can do. Like there's a bow that you headshot someone, they fall asleep, and things like that. And then you can upgrade those weapons from like common tier to like ultra rare legendary tier, and that increases like its special quirk. So every piece of gear feels useful. You just have to invest in it. Um, the world of just like all of like southern England, or is it northern? Oh yeah,
I
because
presume Northern.
you can go up to Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah.
Um, is littered with little interesting like side stories. I forget what they're called. Like in the system, it's like some stupid esoteric like encounters or something like that. But they're like little interesting side stories you can come across. They're like the equivalent of like the Korok seeds um, in Breath of the Wild. Like there's one where I was riding past this farm and I heard these two children arguing, and they're like talking about their granddad's mighty wallop, and they keep referring it to in that term, the wallop. And you can challenge the guy to a fight, to a fist fight, and he genuinely beats you in one punch. And he's like been looking for someone that can beat him in combat, so you have to like fight him, dodging every attack. And it's just the way they talk about it, and they continue to use the word wallop in a way that it becomes funny. Um, or there's like one where you come across these like druids who are all nudists, and they encourage you to get nude with them. Like it's just like a bunch of like goofy little side missions that you can just come across naturally. It doesn't point you in the way. It's just you'll find something strange in the environment, and there's a little story attached. The main story of you being like a Viking sailing to colonize England, and each, forgive me, I'm not up. What are your equivalents of states?
Counties.
Counties. Each county of England has a story attached to it, and each story is also very different because you're trying to get allies, so your colony can grow and prosper without threat of attack. Um, and each story in those counties is different. Like one's a murder mystery, one's about like preparing a funeral for an old dead warrior. Another one's just like an outright siege, and those are all like varied and different. The issue is the game demands you complete each county to finish the story, which is a
Okay.
problem because it has that Assassin's Creed 2 thing where it's like you reach the point in the story where it's like, all right, we need to go to this place to get the thing. But we're not going yet until you've like gotten the loyalty of London and Kent.
Again, that was not part of Assassin's Creed 2 when it came out.
Yes. Um I don't know, like Eivor, I played as a male Eivor, is a somewhat he's kind of like a warrior philosopher type where, you can rather than Cassandra and Deimos, I didn't play the male Odyssey protagonist, but felt
No.
very like ethereal, like there is no hard set characterization other
Yeah.
than quippy.
Yes.
Eivor feels like any of the options you pick are like would work. And you can go to like Vinland, which is America, and which has like a
Huh.
whole little mini map, and it's a recreation of the map from Assassin's Creed 3, like
Cool. I didn't know
location for
that.
location. Like that's pretty cool. Like as far as fan service goes, especially since
Like
I
the end
like
of Red
Assassin's
Dead
Creed 3.
2.
Mm-hmm. Um, but again, it just kind of also has that bloat because it demands that you do everything before seeing the
That's why I
ending.
never played it because it seemed too big and I just Odyssey was just so
The main game
overwhelmingly
took me 67 hours.
no.
um, Yeah, I think I've talked myself into putting it in the flawed tier.
Makes sense. I may now actually play it. You've got me. I was never going to play it.
I
You've
think
got me
it's
onto
worth
it.
a look. It doesn't like the sailing isn't a factor. You just use your boat as like a means of
Yeah,
travel. You have like rather than like singing sea shanties, your crew will recite like epic Norse poems.
that is cool.
It has like you're building up your colony so you can like upgrade
Can do.
your blacksmith, your hunter, and like set up like a fishery and things, and those all have like little stories attached to them. There are like seasonal events where they'll like have an Easter, Ostara,
Oh, of course.
festival and things like that. Um, the the monetization side is really intrusive because you'll pause the
Uh,
game and it'll be like, do you want to get the special future armor pack that comes with lightsabers?
no.
No, that sounds really immersion breaking. The end of the story. How we didn't bring it up. Origins Odyssey. How do you feel about the modern day with Layla?
I can't remember. I'll be honest.
Layla starts interesting in Origins, then she gets annoying in Odyssey, and in Valhalla, it gives her like the worst possible ending. Um, how would you feel your feelings on Odyssey if at the end of Valhalla it revealed that everything that happened in Odyssey was a trick?
It feels like it already. So that shows
Yeah,
that they're aware of the game they made. Um,
it's like the villain steps out of the shadows and is like, aha, this has been my 2,000 year long plan finally coming to fruition. To get this person in this location so they drop an item just so that it lands on my corpse and revives
ooh.
me. I can't I can't explain how contrived it is. You just have to
That
see the
sounds kind of
cutscene.
great.
Um
Sounds kind of great.
yeah, Valhalla is oh, it brings back Sean and Rebecca as companions
Okay.
to the modern day part, which is great because Sean Hastings is like the secret best character of the franchise to me.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So I think it's a very fine conclusion. I have no intention of going and playing its 5 DLC campaigns.
No. 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 Well, that's a beautiful ranking we've got there.
Yeah, yeah, and here they are, completely agnostic of their placement within the tiers.
What is Assassin's Creed 3 doing there? That's just.
I don't know. What's I was gonna try and point out one, but no, I think all the ones that aren't in the places I would have put them are ones you asked me to put. What's Assassin's Creed 2 doing up there? Game's
Oh,
so
because it's one of the
forgettable.
great. Because it's utterly incredible. I love it so much.
Maybe this is just the American European divide.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there you go. That's kind of fun.
Do you
Yeah. Oh,
do you have any thoughts about Assassin's Creed going forward? Like
I am excited for the one that's supposed to be like old Assassin's Creed again. That sounds fun.
Mirage,
Yes.
which hey is a prequel to Valhalla because it's about one of the characters in Valhalla.
Yeah,
So maybe you need to play that. You actually probably should, given that character's
I,
importance.
yeah, I probably should. Should I finish Odyssey?
No, legitimately, like only no, actually don't because Valhalla will
Okay.
explain it for you.
I'm going to, though. You know I'm going to.
Are you because you also have to finish Odyssey's DLC for Valhalla to make
Oh no, I'm
sense.
not. No, I'm not going to play any of the DLC. No, I'll need to buy it, and I'm not buying it.
I just a lot of the times when I play through franchises like this, I feel myself becoming a fan of them.
Yeah.
By the end of Valhalla, I feel like I was still at square one of being like casually interested in the franchise. But I do feel that the history of Assassin's Creed is kind of like the history of AAA games and games
Yes.
development.
No, 100%.
Because starting with a really interesting but hard to execute idea with one,
Yeah.
and then what it turns into with Odyssey, with the yearly releases and the grind mill and the monetization. it's just like sucking the creativity and originality out of it. But at the same time, like I said, it's like one of the only game franchises that do like period settings.
Yeah, yeah. And they when they were good, they did open worlds really nicely because I liked cities. I liked going around actual places.
I've been trying to find like games that give me a feeling of just like being immersed in a period setting, you know? And like I keep coming back to Assassin's Creed, but I don't want to go back to Assassin's
Yeah,
Creed
yeah.
because at this point I don't want to like give Ubisoft money.
Yes, because it's either that or it's fantasy, isn't it? If you want to go back
Yeah.
to the past, it's going to be a fantastical version of the past, and it's not what I want. Or yeah,
Yeah, and it's like, or I can like download. I've never played a Red Dead game, but I also don't want to play a Red Dead game based on what I've heard about it. It's the kind of immersion that I don't gel with.
I love that first game quite a lot. That first game, well, not that first game. I love the first Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead
quite a lot.
Revolver? You're a Red Dead
Red Dead
Revolver
Revolver.
stan, Steven?
I have no real thoughts on Red Dead Revolver. I've played it at a friend's house once. It seemed okay.
Do you feel that they'll ever do an Assassin's Creed World War II?
I hope not.
Actually, wait, Assassin's Creed Syndicate had a World War One
That's-
secret mission.
Yeah.
That was nifty. What an interesting choice for Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Many
I
of
have
these things are
had.
bad.
There was on a podcast long ago. I heard like what this was like when Black Flag came out, and one of the hosts was like talking about I can see the cutscene for Assassin's Creed World War II so clearly, where they're storming the beaches of Normandy, and like the boat comes up and the thing drops down, and there's the guy in the hood and robe, and he's dodging the machine gun fire.
It's Saving Private Ryan, but just with Ezio in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. At the very least, I think it's an interesting franchise to keep tabs on because it is that
Yeah.
like meter for where we're at with AAA games. And if Mirage is good and Mirage redeems the franchise in the eyes of the fans, more power to them. I'm a little mad that they relegated the Three Kingdoms setting to a mobile game. But
Yeah. Oh god, I forgot about that.
and Ubisoft is talking about integrating blockchain and NFTs, and that's a problem.
This franchise used to actually mean something to me, and I used to be like so invested, and now I just like ugh. And it's
What-
such a shame.
What do you think was like the true like fall off point for you? 3.
3, yeah, 3 really. I mean, kind of Brotherhood, but 3.
Really, Brotherhood. So by game 3, you were like, this isn't what it used to be.
No, as in like this is not what it was. But then Brotherhood and Revelations I still enjoyed. Was like I will
Yeah.
keep playing these, and then I guess then when they called it Assassin's Creed 3, and I was like, oh, fine, Assassin's Creed 3 again. And I was like, what? No. And then Black Flag I really liked. So it was just Black
I
Flag
think,
going
like-
back, Origins going back, ones in between. Nope.
What was getting me through a lot of the early games was the writing and like the commitment to being like, here's a philosophy, here's a worldview, and we're gonna like commit to
yeah.
interrogating that. And then by Rogue, they completely dropped that pretense.
Went rogue.
Yes, it went rogue.
Well, there you go. I'm glad that we could rank some of these correctly.
Yes, yeah, sure. I definitely would look very different had you not been here to force my hand with your sincerity.
Yeah, no, there's a few of these games I love a lot. And playing through Brotherhood again now is very, very good. The thing that I will say very much in its favour is it does take a lot of the things that were just kind of like there in Assassin's Creed 2 and makes them worthwhile. So I really like the Borgia Towers, little climbing puzzles, and are actually like fun, engaging climbing puzzles as opposed to just like here's a tower, climb and go. So it makes you invest in its systems in a way that 2 did not as much. It is a nice refined 2. I wanted a step forward, not a refinement.
The refinement sequel is always so hard to rank because it's like everything that's good about this game is just because it's a refinement on what came before. It doesn't establish anything new. But that said, Brotherhood was the most fun I had with the entire franchise.
That's fair.
Like Syndicate, I accidentally 100%ed. Brotherhood, I intentionally 100%ed.
Yeah. It's a really fun game. Like all the things in there are worth doing. That is. I don't like the synchronization mission stuff. I ignore that. But hey.
I don't recall. That's one of those things that 2 years of time have erased for me.
Yeah, when every mission it's just like do this one bonus thing to get synchronization, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, cool, and sometimes I'm like, no. It's just
like
none of these damage. You're like, no.
None of these I'm not sure I would ever like go back and play through again, but I may go back to like to run around for like an hour.
Yeah. I do that with Assassin's Creed too. I go remember every now and then.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me, Stephen, for this special
Thank you for allowing
episode.
me to join you.
For providing your insight, your assassin's knowledge. Is there a setting that you want Assassin's Creed to visit? Or is that just the modern day for you?
Well, but now it's not that anymore because now it's moved so far beyond that now that does not interest me. I mean, somewhere in South America would be interesting.
Yeah, they've kind of teased that. I think one of their like teaser projects is something that's going to be like conquistadors or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd rather like play as just in the culture as opposed to just like I don't need a colonization story.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
It's telling when it's like other locales that it's very much letting the locales speak for themselves, and then certain ones are defined by oppression, which I'd say is true of the American setting as well. Maybe it would be nice to have a North American setting that was not just revolution.
You want the Wild West one? You want the Red Dead Assassin's Creed?
No, I want cities. That's the thing. I want cities. I want a city.
Like
Maybe like
in
Berlin in the 80s. I want Assassin's Creed Berlin in the 80s.
In the start to Unity, where they're showing you the different like games Abstergo has made, one of them is like a jazz 1920s like bootlegger assassin story.
Like Saboteur.
Yeah, I would want that.
Did you play the Saboteur?
No. I remember it was controversial because a DLC mission that was like set in a strip club or something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're just kind of waffling at this point, which is we are wont to do.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Find me in the stacks. Patreon.com/the stacks on film. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, and you're also spoiling things.
Yes. Yeah. I'm thinking of spoiling things.
And you rank monsters.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, so many things.
When are the stacks going to do their commentary on Book of Henry? I think just go in completely blind.